Greetings, everybody. This is Menzi Maseko of Ikhambi Natural Healing, reporting live from South Africa, Azania, Southern Africa, the world, the galaxy, the place called Earth. So today we are speaking to one of our brothers who we have been with on this journey by the name, we call him Moji. He will introduce himself. His full name is Mogaile. He will speak about himself. But we would like to make sure that since we are in the season, what we call the season of Set, we use the Kemetic calendar as Abantu Abakhulu Basekem. We are the people of ancient Kemet. We are the people of Gondwana. We are the people of Azan. Others call it Azania. Others call it Sudan, Kush, Ethiopia. All these different names that spell out this place, what is recently called Africa. We are African people. We use an African calendar. In our African calendar, we are in the season of the Neter, or the divine force, the divine natural force called Set. Interesting character. We will speak about him during our conversation today. We'll speak about that divine force and what it entails. And because we are in the season of Set, we are speaking to someone who is going to be taking us through shadow work, issues dealing with shadow work, issues dealing with history, how our history, both our ancestral history personally, communally, and nationally, how it affects us as a people, how it affects us as individuals, and how we can heal, basically. So I would like to start with a breathing meditation, as we always do. Our breathing meditation is just a very quick a process that grounds us, puts us in the present moment, and makes us attentive to the conversation that we are having. We welcome everyone to engage in this very quick breathing exercise or breathing meditation. We'll just follow my instruction, very easy. I'm not a dictator. I instruct by motivation, not by aggression. So, and then after that, we'll read the Healer's Pledge together. So can we just all close our eyes and just focus on our breathing? Take a few moments to just focus on your own breathing. Breathe easy, whether you are standing, watching this, that you are sitting down, that you're lying down. Begin now to take a deep breath in and hold it and let it go out. Take another deep breath and concentrate on the breathing and the importance of your breath, how it keeps us alive, and let go. With the third breath, we focus on gratitude and attentiveness to our ancestors. We take this deep breath in, allow our ancestors to manifest in us, and allow the Creator to use us creatively and for us to be creative in our time on earth. Let go. You take one deep breath again, whether you're with your eyes open, with your eyes closed. You take another deep breath in and give thanks for this moment. Give thanks for this conversation. May wisdom reign. We breathe out. Siyathokoza, ashe, ashe, ashe. Now we are about to read the Healer's Pledge before we introduce our special guest today. And the Healer's Pledge, how we usually do it, we do it together. You know, it's the anthem of healers, but also of the people who get together, who are focused on the healing journey, their personal healing journey, or they are engaged as healers who heal other people. In our organization, Ikhambi Natural Healing, we believe that everyone is a potential healer, but everyone has not acknowledged it. So in this pledge, we are acknowledging that we are all healers, and we all not just healing humanity, but also the earth. So it goes like this. Can you please repeat after me as I recite it? The Healer's Pledge, Code of Conduct. So, Singabelaphi, we are healers.
Singabelaphi, we are healers.
We owe our gifts to nature, our ancestors, and our creators.
We owe our gifts to our ancestors, our creators, and our.
We live by the principles of Ma'at, Unu, Ubuntu.
We live by the principles of Ma'at, Unu, and Ubuntu.
We will approach each other with respect, honesty, and compassion.
We will approach each other with honesty, with respect, and compassion. Honesty and compassion.
We will offer our advice, recommendations, and ideas with trust.
We will offer our advice, recommendations with honesty and trust.
We will neither insult, dishonor, nor abuse one another.
We will neither insult, dishonor, or abuse one another.
We will share, practice, and promote and raise awareness about natural healing.
We will share, practice, and promote awareness about natural healing.
Healthy lifestyles and well-being.
Healthy lifestyles and well-being.
We will refrain from posting negative information.
We will refrain from posting negative information.
We will refrain from posting irrelevant information and falsehoods.
We will refrain from posting irrelevant information and falsehoods.
Singabelaphi, we are healers.
Singabelaphi, we are healers.
Our gifts are a gift to humanity and nature.
Our gifts are a gift to humanity and nature.
We will give back to nature what she has abundantly given us.
We will give back to nature what she has abundantly given to us.
Amaku, siyathokoza. Hayi, siyabonga kuleyo ndawo. We would like to begin this session by welcoming you. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you, Kesha. Thank you for having me here today.
Kunjani mfowethu?
Khona kunjani, Kesha?
Hayi, siyaphila. We are alive. We give thanks to our ancestors and to our creators.
Of course.
I will explain later why I put an S when I say creators. I know we are all used to God, the Almighty One, but yes. Maybe later I will explain why I say creators instead of creator. Yes. Yeah, yes. Everything has its time. Everything has its time. So who is Mogaile? Who are you, my brother? Tell me, tell the people. Give us your story in short.
Mogaile is a guy, petty guy, born in Limpopo. From a place called Mampocho in Limpopo, close to some town called Marble Hall. I was born there some 40 odd years ago.
Yeah, 40 odd, like me. You're a 70s baby. Or 80s baby. Okay, don't say. if you don't feel like
it. So yeah, I come from Limpopo, and well, I'm based in Gauteng now for business reasons. I live here, I work here, and I'm a mechanical engineer by profession. And I have got special attraction in history. I love traveling. And I like talking to people, finding out what, people are busy with, Yeah, there's quite a lot I can tell you about me, and it depends on how much time you have. So,
you said the place was called what in Limpopo?
Small village called Mampoho.
Mampoho
area, yes.
You have a bit of history about that village. Were the healers there? Were the sangomas in Limpopo, or you guys only know doctors and nurses?
In Mampoho, we grew up. When there's when a Itoasa goes away for initiation.
Yes.
And then they come back after graduation.
Yes.
It was very big event in my village because it would be like a festival. So my introduction, Bungaka and Izangoma is quite intimate that way, because you would dance all night with those that have accompanied the initiate home, and Kalis Gupulapa, Glinyama and all of that. So my introduction to Ubungoma is, comes from a very early age,
Okay, I understand. We will talk about the differences now, because I wasn't just specifically speaking about Ubungo. I was speaking about healing in general. Around there who was the one who that's the one who deals with herbs, or who deals with roots, or who lays hands, even doesn't even use herbs or use water, whatever.
Typically, when I'm calling like a typical village in a African setting, you would have healers of all types. I mean, Gukona Ogogo, Mama Pastola,
Yes.
Bama Zedra, Masioni and them. And then you have Ongo, So they come in all forms and shapes and colors. Healing,
sure.
Healing is a full spectrum where I come from. It's
I get you.
complete. Yes.
So you mentioned that you are interested in, when you were saying your introduction, you said you're a person interested in African history. What led you down that path? What led you to the path of African history? What sparked your interest in African history?
It just came, when you are at school and you're a child, they teach you stuff. And here's how it got to come. You get studies like history at elementary education. I mean, this is primary education.
Yeah.
You get history, and you obviously get African history, and then you get the European, and then you get the time when Europeans come to Africa, And what sparked my interest? I'm a very curious person. Is our history only circles around the wars that took place? Okay. And I was curious as to, fighting cannot be all that we did. How is it that our history is about who fought who and won and became a king of where? It cannot be that fighting was all that we did. There has got to be other things we did as humans. And yes, I was right. The intuition, was spot on, because there's a whole lot that we did except for fighting, So
we're not just warriors.
We were not just warriors. We were healers. We were priests.
Builders.
We were academics. We were everything. But all of that, interestingly enough, was left out of the history that we are fed at school.
Okay.
As a result, I wanted to find out what is it that we did as well.
Okay. I get you. I want us to get directly to the question of Wikipedia because it touches a lot on history. It uses history, I would say, from my reading of it, from our conversations, kind of uses history as a way of reaching back in order to reach forward. That's Sankofa principle of healing oneself via knowing exactly your historical constellation and things like that. So I just was wondering, as I was reading up the bio and everything, I got to wonder, usually people have a catalyzing, a cataclysmic or catalyzing moment, the aha moment, or the thing that actually was there any for you a painful moment, or was it more like a social thing that drove you towards seeking healing as part of your work?
Yes, Kulu. Fortunately, it was not with me as a person. Okay. Yes, true. But by the time you go you seek healing, there's obviously something wrong. Okay. But well, fortunately, not in this case. It was not myself, but I'm a if you follow numerology.
Yes, I understand it.
We've got life paths, yeah? And I'm in number 9, right? So
what do you mean you're in number 9? For those who don't understand numerology. Me, I've got 40% in my numerology class. So you have to bring me in.
So what happens is the day on which we are born or are brought to earth is also an indication as to what our capabilities, weaknesses, strengths, etc. are as a human, right? Secondly, that day speaks to what your role is going to be on this earth. Okay, so being a number 9, I'm a humanist. A humanist saying that I'm a person that takes interest in well-being of people, right? So naturally, from childhood, as we're doing things with boys and or let's say kids on the streets, it always interested me what people were battling with. It's just at that time, just out of interest, and not that I could do anything about it, you know. And as this thing progresses, it's a trend, and then it builds this character in you. So with time, with the interest that you're building in people's affairs, you end up in an area where what you're doing can be converted to helping people. So that's how I find myself in the space where I am now. And obviously it's a combination of what I do for a living, you know.
Okay. Which is what?
Oh, yes. No, I'm a mechanical engineer by profession when I'm cool. And I'm also a trained project manager in the built environment. Okay. I consult also in facilities management, you know. And I also take interest in investments, you know.
Okay.
Investments, and then yes, and then I do the Wikipedia, the history company.
Okay.
Yes.
I got you. All these things converging into something, and something tells me also that Wikipedia is just the beginning, and not the end.
But certainly, yes, certainly.
Yeah, but tell me about the beginnings of it. When did you start Wikipedia, and what exactly is it? What is its objectives?
Okay. In around 2015, I started Wikipedia, and this is now the point where I was starting to notice that I just happen to have become an engineer, you know. But in essence, I'm not that much of an engineer. It's that situation of going to class and getting the grades and then graduating and then earning a living using a particular trade. That number 9 thing came back again, you know? in around 2015.
No, I don't know. You tell me. What does the 9 stand for? Just quickly, what does the 9 stand for? I heard about things like 9 ether. 9 is the last number before you start again. You know, those kinds of things.
The 9 I'm referring to, G, just speaks to the role that I'm going to play. And for the sake of time, we'll have another session on the other stuff. But for this, the only speaks to that humanist in me. So as I was starting to now notice that I work as an engineer, but there's something I'd rather be doing, you know?
Mm.
So I would rather just be doing this history thing. Even if for now it's just a side thing, but it's got to start. So this is now around 2015, and then I start Wikipedia. Wikipedia initially starts as a company that is going to collect history and teach people about history, where we come from as Black people. Remember, we're already addressing that issue I have, that our history as Black people cannot only be about that we have fought, Ushaka fought, Senzaka Kona, or that guy, and then did the other thing. No, it cannot be. So we are going to address the issue of our history just being around wars. We are going to get all of it and pass it on to the people. We're also going to teach people how history informs the way we live today. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do today that are informed by our history, okay?
True.
So we're going to take that history and teach people why, when you have a child today, you must do this or you must do the other. Or why, when you get married today, this needs to happen, that needs to happen, you know? Also, how can we use this history to anticipate the road ahead of us? Because history can actually be used to plan tomorrow. We are able to tell what is going to happen tomorrow using where we were yesterday. So
the research.
Yes, it is the history company. And I mean, I thought it was a very intelligent thing, because history has never been looked at as a product that you can sell to people. So in brief, that is Wikipedia. It is the history company that is going to use history to better people's lives, you know.
But aren't they selling history in school, comrade? And also in the varsity, in the institutions that are there?
We have already gone into the issue that the history that we are being fed, it is about Shaka having fought Amangam. And
get you. It's inaccurate.
Yes, it is not allowed that I must be this old and I don't know about Seth. You know, I do not know about Uma'at. It is not allowed. And you can already tell that when the invader packaged the history that we were fed at school, they had a plan in place, okay? And the plan was to drive us to a place where they wanted us. So Wikipedia strives to undo that. That is why one of our punchlines is we are restoring 600 years of colonial damage. There was a plan in place when we were fed the history that we were fed at school. We'll go into the plan in another session, but that is the situation.
I like how you're prophesying that we're going to have 2 sessions with you. I guess so. Let it be then, because as you are speaking, I'm thinking of the other institutions that try to do this. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm trying to do this thing of I don't like, well, it's set season, so I can be the devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, by all means.
Even though Seth is not a devil, even though Seth is not a devil, but I want to do the thing of probing into the fact that if there are institutions that purport to be, or that say they are giving us a true history, you know, with Thabo Mbeki's era, there was a lot of talk about Timbuktu. There was a whole lot of talk about Mansa Musa. There was kind of like so-called a renaissance, right, of Africa. Do you think that Wikipedia should be more an institution rather than a business? Or is it both?
It is a company that is going to operate as a private company, as it is, and the idea stays the same. What you would notice is an institution like maybe say Thabo Mbeki Foundation or Institute would package their history from a political base. Okay. What is going to happen is, yes, what is going to happen is you're going to get a lot of informative data, yes. And I support information like that, but it is going to be history in a political context. Whereas Wikipedia seeks to teach people about their very being historically. So if there are other institutions doing that, I'm happy, the more the merrier.
Because the job is huge.
It is humongous. It cannot be done by one player.
So as a business, as an organization, are you looking at, in terms of research and all that, are you planning to maybe things where you are, so things like hard lockdowns and all that, to go into communities to find these things, or are you finding out doing outreach in order to find this history, to exhume this history from the people that are alive and from the spaces? Or are you focused on a particular area? Like, for example, your area in Limpopo, or your area in Gauteng, or in a certain, what is your scope, the scope of Wikipedia specifically?
Yes. Scary as it is, the continent is our scope, right? The continent being our scope, you acknowledge that it's humongous. So the model of Wikipedia starts here at home, right? And with chapters in other regions. I don't believe in the country system, so I call them regions. So Mwene Mutapa would have a chapter, okay? Kush is going to have a chapter. And the other places are going to have chapters. Our history goes to depths that says even the countries, you know, are problematic in that they are, call them spiritual prisons, okay? Let me give you a small background. The guy you're talking to today is Mogaile, right? Born in Limpopo, living in Gauteng today. But behind me, you've got several generations of people that come from all the sense. When you say to me, I am not Zimbabwean, or I am not Malawian, or I am this, or I'm not that, you're imprisoning me. Because one of our programs in Wikipedia is going back home. Now, if I must go back home, some of my old homes include Zimbabwe, includes Malawi, and other places.
Tanzania.
How am I going to do that if I'm a foreigner there? You know? So
I see.
The scope is the continent, and how we're going to have chapters in the other regions.
Okay. No, I get you. I get you, my king. I get you. It's very important work. And as you say, rightly say, we're going to have another session where we unpack these things systemically and methodically in terms of how we're going to do this. Because as Ikhambi Natural Healing, we aim to actually assist you to do the work that you're doing. We aim also to partner with you in some of the work that you are doing. because it is a healing of the mind and also spirit.
Yes.
It's a spiritual and
Certainly.
mental, and it's also economic, but we'll get to it when we get to it. I want to touch on the issue of, because I would like us to zero in on the essence of the neter, or the essence of the power, the natural power that we eshlangene ngayo today. As much as is important in history, yeah, but there are certain attributes that he carry that we find in this neter, which I think your work exhumes them and brings to the very interesting way. But from the issue of nowadays they speak a lot about toxic masculinity, and they speak about the violence that the black man exerts on the black body of the woman or child and on other brothers, right? So can I just ask you, like in the black family, both locally or globally, what would you say our biggest challenge is as men? Let me just start as men, and then I want to talk about us as a nation before we go back again down to the person. Like the men, what's going on? What's our biggest challenge? Let me put it that way.
When I get at the black man is the most disadvantaged person on this earth, and there's a few reasons.
More than the black woman?
Well, we're talking about black men now.
Okay, let's talk about black men. Let's focus. Focus, Masego.
So, the challenge that the black man faces when I'm cool is the identity issue. Né? Do you know, we as black men are the most disadvantaged when compared to other, because a black man was cast into a platform where he was found to try find an identity from either Chinese or whites or Indians or everybody else, right? The erosion of our identity was the biggest problem to us as black men. The black man needs to find his identity. And I say this with conviction because, you know, one of the things that my father taught me is that, you know, a man, any man for that matter, you must never fiddle with an identity of a man. For a man that has got their identity intact, you can take everything else away from him. But if he's got his identity intact, you have not done anything to that man. He'll bounce right back. And if that was the position that it belongs to him, he'll claim it right back. Because he knows who he is. Because he knows where to go when he wants to ask for things. Because he knows what to say when he must ask for things, who to speak to. So the biggest damage in us when I'm Kulu is the erosion of our identity as black men. It is that was catastrophic. That was, and you can also tell that it was systematic and it was planned, because the idea was to subjugate us. So the only better way to do that is to erode the identity. So for any answer related to the challenges regarding black men, identity will always come out tops for me. And yes, identity is the theme when I'm Kulu. A person's identity cannot be fiddled with. It cannot be.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you very well.
Want to finish a man, take his identity away. And that is what a black man is battling today in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in America.
I hear you. I hear you. Related to that issue of identity, can I just ask a question of regarding personal responsibility, because
Yes.
I personally would say that as much as identity is important,
Yes.
I see a lot of Black brothers who are Pan-Africanists and Black power revolutionaries, speaking a lot to the national question, but sometimes shirking their personal responsibility and their ancestral responsibilities. So I'm asking this question in order to find clarity.
Yes.
But I hope you get what I'm saying.
I
Like
hear you, Nkule.
personal responsibility, like let me ask you this, how does personal responsibility factor into ancestral responsibility?
What I would say, Nkulu, is personal responsibility. Let me put it this way. When you do good by you, when you are a responsible person, when you take good care of those that depend on you, when you respect those around you and everywhere you go, when you love everyone, you are already doing good by you. That is good personal responsibility. And now, here's the answer. You are a soul, right? When we say to you, Sanbona, right? When we say to you, Sanbona, we are saying that you are one, but there's a gang around you. So there is a gang of ancestors around you. So it starts with being a good child, a good father. Already when you do that, you are doing ancestral responsibility because you are serving the ancestors on all the other souls. So how personal responsibility factor into ancestral responsibility is when we do good by us and those around us, when we respect those around us, when we love those around us. That is how we take responsibility towards our ancestors, by taking care of ourselves, the ones around us, those who depend on us, respecting those around us, and loving those who need to be loved around us.
I like that.
It is not an easy answer to give. It is not an easy answer to give because one must first understand that ancestors are, we are ancestors ourselves. So we need to first do good by us. Your children are your ancestors. Your parents are your ancestors, you see? So, and you personal responsibility, that is your direct personal responsibility. Do good by those, respect those, love those, then you're already doing good on your ancestral responsibility chapter.
I got
that
you.
Is my view.
I get you 180%. You know, that's a very profound answer because just like I was asking the question of, I was not targeting anyone in personally, but I looked because I've been in revolutionary movements. I've been a member in the founding member of a couple of revolutionary movements here in Southern Africa and elsewhere. And I have found that not to judge them or even myself, because I'm fallible myself, we find ourselves being caught up. We have a lot of those, you know, we are in the limelight a lot of the time, like I was, and before I quit politics and all that. When I quit, I quit a certain level of politics, not all of politics. But I find that a lot of us found ourselves having a lot of darkness behind us, you know, family things that we have not solved, child support issues that we have. Others have shadows of sexuality. They're not wanting to come out and be clear how exactly they are. You know, there's a whole lot of going on. I'm talking now for person. I'm not just personally. I'm just talking about men who are in the limelight, who are pushing Black history, Black pride, and Black radicalism, right? But the shadows they have not dealt with because they don't have anyone. Maybe they don't have anyone. I don't know. What's your opinion? Is it because are they having these shadows? Are they carrying all this because they don't have anyone? to talk to about it, or is it something different? What is it? Are they living in the head? I used to think, no, they live in the head more than in the heart. That's what I used to say.
Yeah. It is difficult to tell when I'm cool, because some of the things you see and hear about some of the people, it's really, astonishing. And I would bet on, here's an analogy I have, right? We exist in 3 formats. Yeah? There's the spirits, there's the shadows, and then there's the cause, the body. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So we're dealing, when we judge Mkhulu Menzi, we're looking at what the paper wrote about him on Sunday, right? Very little consideration do we have on the Isitunzi level and the spirit level. So, and this is one of the programs that Wikipedia engaged in recently, where we're saying a lot of what you see, we are looking at the body, all right? Before there's the body, there's already 2 other levels of this person. If we are informed enough, we would know to reserve our judgment and say, there could be issues in the shadow level. So it is a lot. And at Wikipedia, we do work, and we could have open opinions about things, but we choose to first have a full diagnosis of a patient, if you want to call them a patient or a client.
Yes.
Before we can issue any diagnosis or official opinion, In open discussions, yes, we can exchange openly. But we always feel that before we pass judgments on a person, let us have consideration enough to say, before the body itself, the body that we see on TV, there are other 2 levels of this person that we don't know about,
That's interesting you should say that, because I think even Babu Credo Motwa also mentioned that ngokwesintu, a person has 7 different layers, different dimensions, or different aspects of just a person. Some people like Rao Nefe Amen and other African spiritual teachers, they tell us 9 levels of a spiritual person, and some say 14, So, but that is a very important part. At the same time, I like the fact that you're talking about a full diagnosis. You speak about a full diagnosis. You don't just look at the person's symptoms, who is feeling like this, but where is it coming from? So that's the important part. Where is this behavior stemming from? What is the catalyst for this behavior? So that's why I'm asking about shadow work. Lately, you'll see it on the internet and all that, but when it comes to like the action, I like what the Wikipedia is doing. I think I would like to book a session with you, me personally, to look at my own shadows, because it's difficult, because I may be in the light, but I'm facing west, and the light is coming from the east behind me. I don't see my shadow properly, or there are aspects of my shadow that I don't see. But I somehow in the light, but my darkness is either following me, it may trip me. What do I do?
Kulune, what this is this education that we should have gotten when we were little, all right? It is not acceptable that we are this old today and we are still battling shadow issues, okay?
Yes, my Lord.
When we are humans, that is now by the time you are born and then you leave, because that's for the time on which the body exists. You are there all the time, before born and then or after you leave. So this is education that we need to have as humans. The spirits and the shadows are there before and after. So the focusing on the body has been the biggest disguise. It has been a misleading point. So as a people, we need to also understand that what we see outside, in fact, comes from those two levels. The conception level projects onto the shadow level, right? From there, a concept is born of a human that is going to come to earth on this day and live on this day. These are the things that he must do when he is here. Okay? All of that is not something that happens here now. No. It needs to be taught to children that this comes from those two levels. So by the time you come here, the concept is finished. It's all conceptualized. Okay? So the Wikipedia uses instruments that we've developed, you know, to try shuttle between these three levels and, you know, help our clients as to what could be in their on their plate, so to speak, you know.
I get it. I get it.
It is a very interesting method that we have.
I get it, and I like it. At this point, we usually ask the audience if there are any questions. Are there any questions, Penny? I'm going to read maybe some of them.
Yeah.
Okay, how can we all help Wikipedia thrive? How do we as a community help Wikipedia help towards Wikipedia's success? What is it that we can do? And so couldn't just Ikhambi, just the community in at large.
Certainly, yes. Obviously, funny enough, that's one of the reasons why our website is taking a bit long to complete, because we're also going to be harvesting information from the community at large. So when the website is up, it's going to have a platform where there's particular information that we are collecting. So one of the key assistance that we would need from the community is to share some of those information about their communities, their histories, and their lives. It would be very simple to think, because there will be direct questions. So when that website is up, if everybody could just, when they have a moment, go onto the website, log in, and look at those the information that is being harvested or farmed from the people, and share that information with us, because it's going to help assist a lot of people in a way that you could not imagine now. I mean, you take it for granted that it's just something we do here in the village. You'd be surprised that that is actually what people used to do in Kush many years ago, because we are Kushites in the beginning. And as the family grew, the kids moved out. As the family grew, the kids moved out. As the family grew, the kids moved down. And before you know it, the entire continent is occupied. So it is not surprising for us today as we collect information that you find things that we do here in South Africa. And the Oromo people in Ethiopia, the what's that tribe in Nigeria? The Igbo people. That's what they do. It is just confirmation that we are all brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts.
You know, you touch on the people that I love very much. I love all African people. It's like a big family. It's like you said, you don't see us as countries, but you see us as regions, just regions. Yes. Some would say provinces of this country. Yes. When you talk about the Oromo, I have some books here behind me. In fact, in my bookshelf, a couple of books on the Oromo people, which it was very difficult for me to find. Even when I traveled to Ethiopia, it was very difficult to actually find these books in Ethiopia, and I was in the Oromo region. But it showed me the same problem that you were talking about in terms of how history is presented in an official way, very different from how history actually really is. The reality. So the Oromo are very rich have a rich culture, but it's been kind of compressed, suppressed by mostly the Christian community of Ethiopia, the Judaism of Ethiopia, and the Islam, right?
Yes.
It's just called traditional
Yes.
religion. It's something some people do, you know.
Yes.
So what do you think we can do, Mogaile, as a person, you personally, to make this accessible? Well, I guess with Wikipedia, that's what you're doing.
Yes,
But how do you make it really accessible out there?
it's going to take us changing policy, obviously, right? There's a reason
Policy
when
level.
I'm Kulu, there's a reason why the material that's available today is available, and the material that is not available is not available. Okay? Let me give you an example. Earlier you touched on Umkulu Vusamazulu Kredu. Umkulu's work, his journalistic work, not journalistic, but the work that is put on paper, right? All of it is owned abroad.
Hey, big problem.
All of that is owned abroad, okay? And the reason why it is not accessible, it is because it is that very history that we are trying to chase so that we can feed to the people and people can return to their normal self. But here's another level of the problem. The policy that we are talking about is in the hands of, what do I call them? These people are designates of the invader. So, as it is, you're gonna, if you're trying to change the policy, you're going to be asking the designate, the deployee of the invader.
A tough call.
It's not going to happen. But how do we then do this? Collapse the states. The projects that we are advocating as Wikipedia starts with collapsing of the republics. You will never find freedom as indigenous people of the continent under the republics. That will not happen. It only happens when you start to open your eyes and see where our health is and who has got the key to releasing. The person that has got the key to opening the help and giving it to us must quarterly go report at the Buckingham Palace to tell the masters that everything is still going fine.
I get you. I get you. I want to get back to that one, but there's a question, another question from the audience, asking Wuti, how do people practice these principles in their personal lives or in their environment? The question is, how do you practice these within your own environment? Before we get on institutional level, and a policy level, which is very important. But now I think the question is taking us back to the person. How do we practice it in our environment?
It's going to start with taking the calendar that we used to have, yeah? The indigenous calendar, and start to observe it, okay? There's quite a lot on that calendar. But for example, for discussion purposes, there are 4 key days on that calendar. Yeah? Let's pick on the two equinoxes and the 2 solstices. As a person in your house with your wife and children, with your brothers and sisters, start to observe those days, because that is how we used to live, and it is going to take us living that concept at elementary level before we go into institutionalize. You see, institutions are made by people. So the people that are us must first start living, for example, the calendar. That's the one of the things, the calendar. Secondly, our diet.
Before you go to the diet, Mkhulu, before you go to diet, I like what you just said.
Yes.
You said we must start living according to our calendar. So that's, for me, that's the first answer for the person asking about the environment that we find ourselves in.
Yes.
But now there's a follow-up question. We've got like 5 minutes to go, Mkhulu.
Okay.
But I just need to just ask this, a follow-up question to that thing of living the indigenous calendar. African people have various indigenous calendars, but there are so many similarities. Almost all of us, our year starts in September.
Yes.
Right? So, but in terms of accessing these calendars, do you know, even in KZN, it's difficult to find. I'm from KwaZulu. It's difficult to find the calendar lesiZulu. It is produced mostly by the broadcaster Ukhozi FM, which I think it's a SABC thing, but it's really Ukhozi FM, the people who manage certain aspects of Ukhozi FM. They produce a calendar like that, and it's very good. And there was another institution called Pansi Museum, which collects artifacts from 300 years, 200 years of Zulu history. They just collect them into a museum. So they produce the calendar. But otherwise, the calendar is not in schools.
Yes.
Even if you have it, there's no explanation. Introlanja, why? You know, Masingana, why? Sambasa, why? So before we practice Mkhulu, we need these spaces where we can access these things. They seem to be in the shadow. They seem to be in the shadow. Not by in the shadows now. I don't mean it in a deep way, spiritual way. I mean that they are there, but they are not funded.
They are not founded.
Just...
And make no mistake, it is all planned. It is all by design. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And let me just maybe a follow-up question now. The follow-up question is got to do with what's your message to the Black community right now?
If I was asked to share any message with Black people now in 2021, June 29th, I would say to people, find your true identity as a Black person. Because it is with your identity serves as a springboard for anything that you would like to achieve on earth, for your time on earth. And you must understand it. There's two things. What you want to achieve, what is your plan? What is the earth's plan with you on earth? So with your identity, those two things are matched. And a second level of that answer is identity starts at personal level, at village level, at tribal level. Find all those identities, starting with this one, you. Wena ubani. Who are you? Wena mangwena. When we speak to you, Rere, what are we saying? I was saying to a friend.
It's a beautiful question by Chiskop, that one. No, sorry, go back. No, as you were speaking, I was thinking about quite a song by Chiskop. I was thinking of Chiskop, one of their hit songs long time ago. It shows my age. When I Uban.
Yes.
You know,
so I was
the reason I think about it is because I want to ask about this thing, Mkhulu, before you speak about your friend. Sorry. When you speak about identity, finding your own identity, it seems to me that a lot of people will think, okay, but ngumZulu, or ngiumpedi. The layers of identity there. Okay, you did say there's the tribal, there's the community, and then there's your personal. The different hierarchies. Okay, all right. No, but you've answered. Well,
yes. So I was saying to a friend the other day that, do you know when we sneeze, we will call it tagazels again. baina go gae bo bepedi bo motsetadi bo mamang, ne? Do you know why we do that? He laughed and said, no, I've seen people do it because, you know, he's a bit distanced from the identity thing. I mean, you know. So the reason we do that is when we sneeze, those that walk with us all the time are awakened, okay? And by calling them by name, we are telling them that, no, we are fine. It was just a sneeze. And then they go back to sleep again. So, yeah, no, but if you don't know who you are, what are you going to say? You see? So it is, the identity issue must be addressed at all those levels. And that is my message to our people today.
I get you, my brother. I just found that also that it is, I keep urging, kind of like repeating this question of places to go. Some of us grew up in Malukshini, whereby the identity has been severely erased by either religious identity or political identity or township section. I'm from section C identity, you know. So the village as we know it in general doesn't exist as we knew it, as we may have grown up in it. Some of us, maybe our parents even. So the go-to people, Gogo, are kind of disappearing. So somehow I look at Wikipedia's work as a filling that gap. Would you say that's accurate?
One of our founding pillars comes from an indigenous proverb that says, when an old man dies, that is equivalent to a whole library burning down to ground. So Wikipedia's existence seeks to address that. It cannot be that when people disappear, the information also disappears with them. So we are going to play that storage place for the knowledge of the elders, so that the youth and future generations can use as reference looking into the future. You are spot on, yes.
I get you. No, thank you, Mkhulu. I just want to, as we are going towards the close, I want to look at something to do with set also. And now we're there, you are getting a bit dark there. I don't know if you can get a light because we are missing, we are losing your face to the darkness. We are losing, yes, thank you. Yeah, we're beginning to lose you there. But again, nothing is lost, and you are just receding to the darkness. But you're still in the light, your voice is there. I want to get back to something to do with set, as you're talking about people rediscovering their identity. You know, it's just, I always think about the, you know, we've studied the whole history of who slays his brother. Slays his brother because his brother is shining. He's living in the land of plenty. His brother has got it made. His brother is fertile and he's infertile. His brother has a kingdom. Yeah, he has a kingdom, but not a lot of people around there. He's living with the offers there. He's living with he's living with the pariahs of society, so to speak. So either because of jealousy or because of envy or because of the plan of the creator, he has to slay his brother. Does he have to, or did he not have to? Have quality.
Mkhulu, he didn't have to. This is also education that we must share with the little ones, right?
Yeah.
Once you understand how the system, the cosmology system works,
yes,
you would not envy Imotoga Menzi Maseko.
Kasbanban.
No. What you would know is that Umenzi Maseko is in his lane, serving his role here on earth. And those attachments are what comes with Mr. Maseko's role here on earth. Ngapha mina, if my role does not come with those shiny things, I must embrace it with all that it comes with, because as a product of the system, that is where my happiness lies. I will not be happy with Menzi Maseko's things. No.
I'm good. But I advocating for predestination. People are predestined for something.
We are destined for things here on earth. It might not be clear as yet to you, but it will start to clear up once you start paying attention. We don't just rock up and then it's a party, and then if I end up in Sentin, I'm in Sentin, or if I end up in Natal, I'm in Natal. The concept is such that it's a closed system. Well, I don't want to get technical that much, but in engineering, closed systems are those that we have got where it's going to start and where it's going to end, and what's going to happen in between them, the 2 points. So our life is such a thing. The day that I came here on earth, it's nothing I could have done anything about. No. It's that day that was chosen. And the day on which I'm going to live, it's that day. I can't choose it. On that day, I can't run away. No, it is that day. So what we must teach the children is, it is not someone else's attachments or belongings that are going to make you happy. It is when you embrace your role, your path, and then your happiness comes, because then you are complete. We only become complete when we start serving in our path,
our purpose.
So Usad did not have to kill Uheru.
But I guess that was his purpose, wasn't it? He had to, because we are having two different opinions on that one, but I like that. It's good. We don't have to agree, but we can agree about one thing. Yeah. That the story is still being told after tens of thousands of years. Yes. The story is being told, and we are learning something from it. We are not learning in order to agree on every point, but we agree on one thing, that the story is being told and we are learning from it. But you've also answered a question that I didn't ask. You've also answered a question that I didn't ask, which was actually part of the questions that I had, that how does your profession as an engineer impact your work now? Maybe let's just make that the last question. You've answered it in a way, but I would like you maybe to zero in on it.
Yes, no, in Wikipedia, when I'm Kulu, we collect data firstly, right? And
data.
In assessing of the data, information, we must extrapolate certain things out of them so as to pick up trends. In the data that we have, are we picking up any trends? Are we picking up any repetitions? Are we picking up any events that stand out? In mathematical statistics, we call them outliers. So the two phenomena that we do at Wikipedia, UCD, square, are purely mathematical outcomes. So if I did not have the depth of mathematics that I have today, well, mathematics comes standard in engineering, you know, I would not have been able to articulate the information that we have to the point where we have got what we have now in our hands. So without a doubt, my training in engineering plays a very big role in the work that we do now in Wikipedia. It helps a very lot in picking up those trends and what stands apart and what happens a lot, what repeats itself frequently. It helps a great deal, yes, certainly.
I like that. It creates accuracy also. And
Yes.
the information is accurately discerned. And then you can, yeah, thank you so much, Mkulu. I like for now to close our chapter, this session,
Yeah.
by saying Ngiyabonga, Ashe.
Cool.
There's so much that you have answered for us. I know we're going to have that second session that you already prophesied.
Yes.
And we're definitely going to have that session because there's a lot to unpack.
Yes,
and I would like us, when we meet next time, so I can argue with you about set again, but and then find a resolution to the argument, because
yes.
I'm sure it will be a robust engagement. So
and
thank
when
you.
We have that session, I'll
Mm.
also show you how set comes into the programs that we do, you know, because I mean, Squabble UCD are mostly a Ma'at system at work amongst humans. And you will see how USET comes into play when Ma'at is done adjudicating her cases at her scales of justice.
The chaos.
It's a very interesting model, and you'll see how the Kemetic mythology comes into play. It's something you can't run away from. We are part of it, you know. But yeah, the session will come.
I love it. I love it. Mkulu, where do people find you? Social media? You give us your phone number, and how do people book a session with Wikipedia? I just need your contacts and things like that you can share.
Yes.
We will share with the people.
Certainly. We
You said you're creating a site.
On Facebook, we are Wikipedia. We've got a page there where we share a lot of information. And also we tweet some of these things at Wikipedia. And then I'm available on email, Mogaile at wikipedia.org. And then I'm also available on the mobile and WhatsApp.
Okay.
And my number there is 082 4233 887. And for those abroad, it's +27 82 4233 887. Yeah.
I like the way you ended that. Africa for Africans at home and abroad. The work is massive.
Massive.
We have to deal with all of it. Thank you so much. Thank you to your family for allowing us to have you for this time. My art be with you, and set be with you too in a kind way.
So I'm cool, and thank you for having me. And we'll certainly, when we have the other session, there's a lot of things to unpack, and we will go through them.
We will do that. May people also can find us on Ikhambi Natural Healing on Facebook. They can find us Ikhambi Natural Healing on Instagram, and they can find us on our blog naturalhealing.wordpress.com. May we meet again in our next session. Sibonga kakhulu. Blessed love. Ashe.
Bye-bye.
Tamaku.
Win.